Welcome to another Tea and Tights Brit Wres special. Today's guest is one half of the hottest young tag teams in the Southeast. Alongside Ben Jones as the lads, they are DOA's 2021 Tag Team of the Year and the current DNA Tag Team Champions. He is also, alongside his fellow wrestlers, started Jurassic Pro Wrestling in Harwich. Please welcome to our show, Alex Ecco. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys?
Very well. Glad to have you on because you mentioned on the thing. You do say a lot of nice things about us, so it's always very much appreciated. And every like and share just helps us get out there a bit more. So it's always nice.
Oh, no, you guys are doing fantastic work. So yeah, good to have positive views on professional wrestling shared around. It's always a good thing.
It's quite easy to be positive at the moment because we're in that lovely position where British wrestling is at its absolute best.
It's doing all right, isn't it?
We are, of course, Tea and Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on BodySlam.net, brought to you by Power 4 TV. I'm your host of Great British Taku, Mr. Andrew Moandy to most. Joined as always, back, actually, not because he hasn't been with me the last few times, but it's Big Daddy Dan, Daniel Allen, just Dan for short. No pause this time.
Hello. It is good to be back. It is lovely to be with you, Andy, because I have missed a couple of interviews and I'm sorry. It's just been an insanely busy time. And of course, we have taken the week off for WrestleMania from our regular podcast because there is a glut of wrestling content available for people to enjoy. You can concentrate on that and we will make sure that next week there is something special in our regular Brit Wres Roundup.
Oh, yes. It's going to be Brit WrestleMania.
There's been a fair bit this week, hasn't there? Wrestling.
Yes, just a bit. So, of course, you guys, Jurassic Pro Wrestling, you guys were in action literally in 5 days from when we record this. So it'll be out tomorrow. So 4 days from when this is aired. Going to be a great show. Tell us a bit about Jurassic Pro, how it all kind of got started, because I remember when we had Corey McRae on, he gave us some of the details, so fill us in a bit more.
I'm trying to remember what Corey said now, because it was a long time ago since I heard Corey talk about it, but I guess essentially we were in one of the lockdowns, and me and the other 6 who run Jurassic Pro, we're all kind of down a bit, I guess. And the main thing that was getting us through the lockdowns was basically like hypothetically what we'd do if we ran a professional wrestling show. And so we sort of said about the people we'd book, some ideas that we'd have. And for some reason, I mean, I'm probably the worst media student in the world because I never watched Jurassic Park. And Star Wars, but when the guys were like, "Oh, we should call it Jurassic Pro Wrestling," I was like, "Yeah, dinosaurs are cool," but all the references and stuff I'm kind of learning as I go. But yeah, the guys all like Jurassic Pro. I just went along with it because, well, my son likes dinosaurs as well. So, and I guess the more we hypothetically spoke about running a wrestling show, the more serious we all took it. And just got to the point where I guess 2 months before the first show, we kind of just said we'd bite the bullet and go for it. And it was probably one of the most stressful days of my life. Well, I've had more stressful days, childbirth and all of that. But nothing really prepares you for running a professional wrestling show until you've done it. All the sicknesses and pullouts and stuff like that, I didn't know how stressful that would be until I experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, because you're 3 shows in now, aren't you? This is going to be your 4th show coming up. And as you say, you've had to deal with COVID. Like every promoter out there has literally had to deal with COVID. So there's going to be a lot of on-the-fly decision-making. As you say, been kind of stressful. So what's been the biggest stress when it comes to actually trying to put this together?
I think it is, like, for me personally, I mean, we all kind of have our own delegated roles, and I guess I've kind of just fell into like the video editing and producing like clips and stuff like that, and editing the matches. So that's kind of the role I fell into because I'm experienced with it. So I don't get to see the guys when they message people to join the shows. So for me personally, it is kind of that scramble you get when you get a message in the group chat where it's, oh, so-and-so's got COVID, 2 days before the show, and we're trying to scramble to try and figure out who to bring in instead. And that happened, I think, with 3 or 4 of the talents for the last show, and at least one of those was one of the 7 who runs the shows, and I think they were the only one who was scheduled not to wrestle on that show, because that's been the other thing as well, is because we all perform on the shows. It's having the bodies there to like run things in the background, us all being worried about our own matches. Luckily a lot of the better halves help run things on show days. So I know Dexter's missus and Rob's and Harry's are all present at the show, so they help out a lot.
Who sits in the gorilla position, overviewing the match timing?
Surely it's the T-Rex position.
Yeah, I think we given it a name yet? That would be a good one. Strangely enough, I found myself sat there more than I should be. Last show, I think I did the first half, and then Corey did the second half. So, like, if you watch the matches on the YouTube, you can see me sat there in my little Hawaiian romper, playing the music.
Well, I'm looking at the lineup for who's coming to the paddock for Carnivore Carnage, and you got a great show coming up.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a few matches that particularly jump out at me. One of them is the gentleman you just mentioned, Dexter versus Tommy Kyle.
Ever since,
sorry, go
on. Ever since like I've met Tommy, I've been the biggest fan of him. Like I self-admittedly, I didn't know him before I worked with him at World War Wrestling. I teamed up with Ben against him and Truman. And ever since that moment, I said to the guys, if we do something, we have to get Tommy Kyle in. And I think him and Dexter together will be really good.
Yeah, Tommy's having a bit of a breakout year this year. And saying that, so's Dexter. Yeah,
Dexter's doing like really well, especially considering he's expected a child as well. So he's still grafting away, bless him.
I like the fact that we're going to get to see Brian the Younger, because we've heard a lot about this family. Because at first it was just Nino; he started popping up everywhere, and then somebody, I think it was CJ, told us that there is a younger brother who is just as good, and that is Xander, and he's going to be making his paddock debut against the Pack. They're going to be a bit outsized in that match, aren't they?
Yes, and I have wrestled Brogan and Forrest Hayes in the past, so like that's the thing that intrigues me about this one, because you've got like the brawling style, I guess you'd say, of the Pack, and then the Bryant brothers. And I don't know if you guys would have seen Front Yard Pro, but the Bryant brothers wrestled on that. That was a little thing that Kelly Six put together, and they were just all over the place. And there's a younger Bryant brother as well. So it's 3 of them. But yeah, we've got Xander.
Bryant the toddler? Bryant the fetus?
There's a 3-year-old who does a 6 satellite DDT as well.
But the worrying thing is I can believe it.
Well, we heard about Chantel Jordan's younger brother actually competing, and he's only around 14, so it's
really?
British wrestling.
They start young in British wrestling, don't they?
That's why they're all so good.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pete Dunne and all those lot were training when they were kids, and now look at them, they're like,
I mean,
makes me feel old.
I'm not playing that game. The other one that I'm really looking forward to is you have got the Goddess of Dragons, Mia Cortez versus Amira Blair. That's going to be great.
Amira Erez.
Erez, yes. Not to be confused.
She's had to change her name.
Yes. And Michael Oku still managed to mix them up. Did you see that picture? Yeah. Amira is. I worked. It was DOA a couple of weeks ago, and she was there, and she's mad as a. I don't know what you could say. She's.
It's a bit psychotic. I think isn't it the Pretty Psycho or something? Did she goes by on the site?
That fits. That fits. She's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I remember the first time I met her was she was doing makeup work for DNA, and she was just a right laugh backstage. So she's doing so well at the moment. And Mia Cortez is one of those. Again, I saw her for the first time at DOA. I think it was last year, and she should be more places. So I'm looking forward to seeing that match because, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't think that's happened before either. But it could have happened at another show that I haven't seen. There's so many British wrestling companies. It may have well happened.
Yeah, a new one pops up every week, I think.
Yes.
Still not one in my local area, though.
Where are you? We'll try and get something set up.
I want one to set up in Middlesbrough.
Want to set one up in Middlesbrough.
Yes, I want. Yeah, somebody out there that's got some money, come back me. I guarantee you, I'll be a great promoter.
I'll DM Tony Khan for you.
Yeah, that's it. Get him down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Middlesbrough is not much. I have to go further into Newcastle or to the other coast to go to Manchester or Liverpool for any big shows.
Or Lancashire.
Yeah, that was a long one.
You're at some progress lately, weren't you?
We were indeed, yeah. You had to do the long travel for that one, didn't you, Andy?
Yeah, that was awesome, though. I mean, come on. You're not going to... I mean, you got to see the 10th anniversary show. I got to see the Gresham versus Noir match, which...
Ooh.
Yeah, I got to see the Noir versus Ilya Dragunov match.
Yeah. 2 huge matches. That's what we
weigh them up.
British wrestling can it be just amazing when you can think of talents like that. Cara Noir is an enigma, and I like the fact that he doesn't wrestle just everywhere. He's very selective, and he's cornered his market.
Yeah, I got to see him a couple of times before he proper blew up. I think it was just before Progress, and he I mean, I know they're my friends, but he wrestled Forrest Hayes and Dexter, and I was on those shows as well, so I got to see him firsthand, and he is everything that everybody says he is. He's the best around at the moment.
Yeah, so that would have been with IPW, wouldn't it?
That would have been Wrestling League.
Oh, wrestling. Okay.
Yeah, he wrestled Corey at IPW, which I got to edit that match. So again, I got to really study that one while I was editing it.
You got to make him look even better than he already was.
Yeah, I'll fix it in post is my favourite saying.
He's not on the card at the moment, but I know he's looking forward to facing the man that you're facing alongside with Ben Jones. You are taking on the 8-7 Warren Banks, because you're getting some big names at Jurassic Pro when you look at Hustle Malone, Warren Banks, Charles Crowley have all come through the doors, and you guys have taken them all on.
Yeah, and this one actually came as a bit of a surprise because, I mean, ever since we started, Corey had sort of been, I guess, calling out Warren Banks because their match on the first show didn't go ahead. And then this show, Corey's abroad. So I was in the process of moving house. And when I come back to check the group chat, I saw that it was me and Ben against the 8-7. So that one kind of got sprung up on me. And I put a little video out earlier. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get beat up. But I get beat up a lot.
Both Roth and Warren Banks are doing amazing things together and separately. Warren Banks has just been entered into the Atlas tournament on Progress, which I was quite surprised with that. I thought he would have gone into the Strong Style Super 16, but they've gone for the
I think I suggested that one to you, and you poo-pooed it.
I poo-pooed it. I did. I thought the Strong Style Super 16 would be his one, but no, apparently. Should be great, though. But you guys versus the 8-7 should be absolutely fantastic.
They're big guys, aren't they? The 8-7.
Yes, yeah, they are. Like it. Yeah, I mean, Alexander Roth, like I said earlier, he's getting his flowers now, and he's getting the recognition he deserves. But like at the moment, Warren Banks is everywhere, and deservedly so. So the way that I see this match is it's a way for me and Ben to prove ourselves against two of the best that the country has, because we, like I put the video out earlier, me and Ben have been stuck in the Suffolk and Essex bubble. Luckily, a couple of places recently have given us a chance to wrestle outside those counties, but we get an opportunity to have two of the best in the country see what we're all about. And that's what I'm looking forward to with that one.
They're coming to your house to do it as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Harwich know us well. So we'll have the proverbial third man in our corner, which might just about equal the playing field for us, because it's one that I fully well know what I'm getting in for when I get in that ring on Sunday. I'm ready for it.
One other thing I'd like to mention about Jurassic Pro Wrestling that I am really impressed with is your ticket pricing.
We do all right, don't we?
You do,
it's
because
not over.
I have a number of children, a significant number of children, and you guys have got a very sensitive price, £10 for adults, £5 for children. I can bring the whole family and have a damn good night out for not a vast amount.
And I think our original price for adults was $7.50, and we felt bad for putting it up, but we had to kind of see what the going rate was all around, and we just put the price up to £10, and nobody's had any qualms with it.
You sold out your first show, and you've been pretty much near sellouts on the next two, so it seems to be certainly going well. And the fans are very entertained, because you get a lot of mixture in your matchups. You do have your hard hitting, the entertaining, high flying. So it's providing families everything you'd want in a nice Saturday night day out.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing for us as well, was like there's so many places that run like family friendly shows, but they're like late starters, whereas like we are a 2 p.m. start on a Sunday, and we sell dinosaur masks. And like I said, having a toddler who loves dinosaurs, it's a good little market. Being in the dinosaur market.
I'm suddenly thinking, if there's dinosaur masks as well, I might just have to do the hour and 40-minute drive on Sunday.
Come along. There's dinosaur masks, there's dinosaur skulls, we do the place up really well.
I'm sure Mia Cortez feels right at home there, actually, then.
She's got her awesome dragon masks that she has with her, that she will be having on her merch stand.
We'll have to see if we can get David Court Dragon to have a picture with Mia Cortez.
That's it.
Because he's our like local little I guess Jurassic mascot, you'd say. It's on the first couple of shows.
Yeah, he had that great match with Corey McRae, taken over from Warren Banks, and they had a really great little match. Now we got two more matchups on the card. So you got Xander versus the one and only Hustle Malone.
Yeah, this is I think this is a match that I was highly suggesting, just because I don't know, Xander, I love the guy. He's my one-time tag team partner as well, so Goth Laddies for life. But I just when we were putting the card together, I said I think Hustle Malone and Xander would be a match that I'd really want to see, and I can't even explain why, but I think it's a good opportunity for Xander as well, because he's somebody who you may not see him all the time, but every weekend he's working shows, and he really does like work so hard. And Hustle's somebody who has a lot of eyes on him at the moment, even if that's just because people know him from commentary on Progress, but he's like on shows all the time as well. And the stuff that he's doing with his character work and the matches that he's getting announced for at the moment as well. He's somebody that could elevate Xander, and I think that's something that Xander deserves. Yeah, he's a really good guy.
And then you've got former guest on the show, CJ Carter versus Nick Payne. Now, this has been running from the first show. This has been one of the continued storylines of Jurassic Pro recently.
Yeah, Nick Payne is just the worst kind of guy. Like, they had that match on the first show, and CJ Carter obviously got the better, and Nick attacked him afterwards and does, I guess, what I know Nick Payne does because I've known him for quite a few years. But we all kind of thought that he was over being that guy. We thought he'd grown up a bit, but clearly he hasn't. And unfortunately, CJ hasn't been able to be with us. I think it was just the last show he missed, actually. And Nick's kind of taken that as a way to keep calling him out. So I'm kind of glad this match was finally happening so that they can hopefully both move on and CJ can go on to bigger and better things and hopefully shut Nick Payne up. Fingers crossed.
Now, you talked about Corey McRae. He's not on this card. He's in Spain next week. Is that right? Because
I think it's Hungary for Passion Pro.
I thought it was Hungary this week, but yeah, might be. He's got a big triple threat. 6-man tag match coming up at Passion Pro. Yeah. Corey is probably the only promoter in England who can book himself on shows when he's already booked on shows. But I joke around. He is probably the least organised person I know. But he got offered a international booking, and we all supported him with that. Like, he just needs to get a diary. He's been doing some great work because he's been getting a lot of international work. He seems to be working more outside of the UK at the moment than he does in the UK.
I don't know what that's all about.
I think it's because he doesn't know that many UK wrestlers, so he's finding it easier to go abroad.
He's good at making friends online, I guess, and abroad. He didn't go into it. I'm going to tell a story about Corey that he didn't tell on his podcast, right? When he initially got booked for Ireland, and it's something that, admittedly, bless Corey, he tried to get away from for ages. Originally, he got a lot of stick for looking like Conor McGregor. But his Irish booking was given to him, and the guy who flew him over got him custom shorts, and he was called Mick Gregor for the first time that he went to Ireland.
Love it.
I was really hoping he was going to say that on his podcast. He'll kill me for saying it, but yeah. But then he went once, and I think he got brought back to Ireland again, and he got to be himself. So obviously worked. And yeah, for some reason, he just gets booked everywhere else in the world, but not... Well, he gets booked in England, but it's so strange when he says, "Oh, I've just been booked in Germany. I've been booked in Spain." You're like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, because he was just part of German Wrestling Federation's, was it the Light Heavyweight World Cup?
That's the one, yeah.
I've been meaning to find out how he did in that. And but to be honest, he's the reason I got into Passion Pro, because I saw him on the card. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go watch his match. And really thoroughly great match. And the promotion itself is an absolutely it's a great little promotion.
He's got a reputation of having really good matches. Most of the time I watch him, I'm just like, how can you do this? He's too good. I know he's my mate, but
he'll make it on the big shows at some point, no doubt. But let's get to know about yourself, because last year, as the lads, you were voted DOA's Tag Team of the Year, and you guys haven't actually been together huge amounts, and you've had a lot of disruption due to COVID. So it's been a bit of a rise out of nowhere, sort of, almost.
Yeah, well, we started in we both started January 2018. When we began training, I think I started training the week before Ben, he joined the training school we were at then, which was it was SOS in Harwich. He joined the week after. I lived in a little town called Stowmarket. He lived in a little town called Stowmarket. We both drove an hour to Harwich, and we didn't know each other, and we were from the exact same town. And I guess we kind of meshed together. Everyone thought we were best friends from the start, and organically we just came together. And the promoter at the time said that we should be a tag team because they needed tag teams. And I think 5 months after beginning training, we had our first match where we got the little safety net of going in as fans from the crowd. And then the rest, I guess you'd say, is history. Since 2018, we've wrestled for DNA, DOA, World War Wrestling, where we've been since Triumph. Obviously started Jurassic Pro, and then this year UBW and RCWA. So it's all come quite quickly for us.
Where did the gimmick come from? Because for the guys that don't know, let them know what you do come down in the ring in.
Well, so originally the idea was that Ben is the ultimate lad, and I was originally to be his lad in training. But for me, I think it was outside of my comfort zone because I'm not like a big party person. Like anyone who actually knows me knows I'm a bit of a bit of a geek, a bit of a nerd. And I think it got to December of that year, and I said to Ben, "Oh, I really need to jazz things up a bit. I need something else." And I said, "I'm thinking I'm just going to come out with an inflatable flamingo." And he said, "Why?" I said, "I don't know. I just think it will be cool." And that was the birth of a very expensive trait that I have now. Yeah.
How many have you gone through?
I think it's actually only 4. The first one I accidentally dragged across gravel, and I allowed Xander to rip its head off for part of a story. The second one, I think, I don't know what happened to him. And the third was at Jurassic Pro. I went for my Let's Go Swimming senton that I do, and I was wearing Floyd around my waist at the time, forgot to turn him so his head was facing forwards, and I landed right on his head and squashed him. So that was the third one gone. So I'm only on the 4th. So that's not too bad, guys.
Yet.
Yeah,
No,
I do bulk buy on eBay.
No actual flamingos were hurt during this.
I don't know. I feel like those guys are sentient. So, yeah.
I've got to ask, because I've not been along yet. I'm assuming you have those available on your merch table.
I actually need to, because it's something that people have come up to me and said, "Why don't you sell them?" And I have said when I... There we go. I muted myself by accident, and I was just scratching my ear. Yeah, I have had people say to me I should start selling the flamingos. Definitely. So it's on the table.
When I was at PEW recently, I ended up helping out and running a merch table, and the biggest seller was Chocolate Thunder's sunglasses. Everybody loved the sunglasses. Things like that. Yeah.
I was at DOA last week, and Xander made a killing because he's got custom guitar picks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but the flamingo stuff. Like it was just one of those things where Ben really questioned me. He was like, "Why flamingo?" And I think it all started because I was like big on the WWE games, and one of the options as like an entrance bit of gear was an inflatable duck. So I made a character when I was like, I guess 8 years ago at least, which is still in my 20s, but still I made a character that had the duck around his waist, and I always thought that would be a good idea for a little comedy character. And ever since then, like, people come to shows and they gift me flamingo stuff. Like, I have a light that I put on the merch table now, which is a flamingo light, which just sort of shows this is the lad section. But I've had so many flamingo things gifted to me. The missus hates it because I don't like throwing stuff away. So some of it has stayed in a box somewhere. But it was a really lucky idea, I guess.
when we interviewed Holiday the other day, she had a wicked wall behind her where she put up loads of fan art that she'd been given because of her face paint. She does inspire a lot of fan art, and she's started putting it up behind her when she does interviews, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, that's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting all that art.
So you mentioned you do a lot of video editing. It's something I did pick up on, including Fight Nation Wrestling. How did that all sort of start? Was that just because they knew you were a media guy?
So when I went to college for media production, so like that was where I first started editing, and then I made the decision not to go to university, and I sort of sat dormant on my editing skills. Then when I got into wrestling and I began training, nobody really was avidly editing, so I just said, hey, that's something I could probably help out with, and I ended up being the editor for where I was for 3 years until recently, where JPW started up. I now edit JPW, and I think it is just through word of mouth. People, CJ Carter is a great one who will always tell people that I edit video. I've made highlight videos for my friends and stuff, so that kind of gets my name out there. And knowing people like the Rebellion, Taylor James and Jack Torino, they've reached out to me to edit their show's Triumph, and it is just a word of mouth thing. I think when people put on Facebook or whatever they're looking for a video editor, my name usually gets tagged by one of my many wrestling connections, and I think knowing the DNA promoters helped me out quite a bit as well, because they reached out to me and said that they needed somebody to edit. It's just one of those hobbies that I've got that I really enjoy doing, and it's something that it just helps me pass the time. I find it quite therapeutic as well.
Now, you faced the who's list of the Southeast tag teams, the Rebellions, BDSM. Who is it out there as a tag team that you really would like to face that you haven't yet?
You've got, like, I guess you'd say, like, the biggest names in the UK. So, like, Sunshine Machine would be fun. Lycos Gym. And I had a list, and one of the teams actually that I think about now, and I only know of them through you guys listening to your podcast, is Crash Boat.
We were saying that before this, that we'd love to see you guys against Crash Boat.
Yeah, I haven't managed to see a lot of their stuff, just because there isn't a lot available on YouTube. If you guys know anything on Powered 4 where I can watch any of their stuff, like, let me know. But yeah, I've sort of kept up with their socials after hearing about them from you guys, and that's been an idea in my head now. It's like, oh, that'd be quite fun to do Crash Boat. Off the top of my head, Evan Lee United were a big one, but we managed to tick that one off. It's always teams that, like, we have that we could have that playful sort of bantery face versus face kind of dynamic with. We've done it with Big Dangerous Scary Mammals. We had it with Evan Lee United. I feel like Sunshine Machine would be a similar dynamic. And then I guess you do have the teams like Northwest Strong, where I'd just get battered. Yeah, Experiment and Terror.
Yes.
Experiment, yeah, Elijah and LK Messenger.
Yeah,
and Sky Spencer as well. She's a member.
I could get Xander to team in with us, be Goth Laddies against the three of them. That'd be fun. I think at the top of the list at the moment, Sunshine Machine.
Definitely. I do pick, when I see you guys and I think Sunshine Machine, I think, yeah, that would be a great little clash. But you are right, Crash Boat. So if you're listening to us, Crash Boat, try and get in contact and see if you can meet up somewhere.
Well, halfway. I don't know what's halfway between Suffolk and where you guys are, but
Black Country.
Leeds.
Oh, the Black Country.
Yeah.
I don't know where the middle is.
Right. One question we always ask. It is the Mount Rushmore of British wrestling. But I want to put one little condition is we do need to have at least one tag team.
Oh,
the spanner.
Throwing a spanner away because you got to keep it interesting.
Oh.
And as you are a tag team wrestler, I think we need to have, and you can't just go Bulldogs.
yes, he can.
Yeah, of course you can. I mean, they are the Bulldogs, but yeah.
Right. So, is it 3 and then one tag team, or do my tag team count as 2?
I'd say 3 and then one tag team.
Okay, all right. The number 1 always has to be William Regal. Yay! Yeah, because when I started watching wrestling in 2002, and I think one of the first things that caught my eye was the fact that there was a British gentleman on American wrestling, and I was like, "Who is this?" And then learning about William Regal after, and just he's just the man, isn't he? One of my favourite feuds ever was him and John Moxley on FCW. I still go back and try and find the clips of that on YouTube. So William Regal's always been one of my favourites. This tag team one's really thrown the spanner in the works now. When I first got into watching British wrestling, I'd have to put Chris Brooks in there. In fact, I'm going to cheat. CCK.
Right, that's fair. CCK.
Yeah,
because I think when I discovered British Indies, CCK were just kind of becoming like the top tag team, and that was just before they made their Progress debut. So I wasn't really that big into the British scene before that.
That's the Gresham and Brooks era, then, isn't it?
When did Lycos start with them? Because I had Fight Club Pro DVDs. I remember like getting to know them through some of those. It was I'm trying to remember what year it was, but CCK were like the tag team that kind of inspired me to think, oh yeah, I could really like tag team wrestling is my favorite genre, and especially like after Deuce and Domino got released from WWE, as we know, Deuce and Domino are the best tag team in the world. It took a while for a tag team to like really catch my eye, and the dynamic of Brooks and Lycos kind of did it for me. Their tag combinations and everything.
Sick fucking tag move.
Oh, the best. I still think of that lung blower and senton combo in my head now. So CCK would be my tag team, just because they kind of changed the game for me when it came to tag team wrestling. Just like you said, with the tag combinations and everything, they were innovating. And
although they were the ones that brought in the foot tag, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about the fact that I do not like the foot tag.
Hey, I'm a purist. Like I'm FTR. Hold the tag ropes. Yeah. No back slap tags. I'm with you on that one. Number 3 would be Jody Fleisch. Just because I watched him wrestle Saturday just gone at DOA, and I remember the last connection before I got back into British wrestling with Progress and the UK scene in 2018. The Wrestling Channel was something I watched a lot when I was a kid, and Jody Fleisch was obviously on there all the time. And just the fact that I can see him wrestle now, and he basically wrestles the exact same style as he did back then.
He's immortal, isn't he? There's some secret there.
I don't understand him. Like once in my life, I'd like to do a clean backflip, and he does them all the time just for a laugh. So Jody Fleisch is timeless. He's as good now as he always has been. And my 4th, probably for the same reasons as Jody Fleisch, it would be Doug Williams, because I watched him on the Wrestling Channel when I was a kid, and then seeing him pop up on TNA was another thing. Like seeing William Regal on WWE, it was kind of that whole British people can make it in wrestling as well. And that was before I knew that independent wrestling here existed. Like seeing a British person in a wrestling company in America was kind of a big deal, especially before I knew training was even an option here. Just made me think, there is a way for our country to make it in this sport.
No, I think it's very same because the year we grew up in was just a little bit before that, and it was Mr. Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, and yeah, for us to see him as a little kid on the screen, it always like, okay, a British guy can get out there and can do it. I like the fact that the guys you chose could have been Jody Fleisch and Johnny Storm could have been a tag team that you could have mentioned because they were just amazing when they were tagging. And then, of course, you had the British Invasion, Nick Aldis and Doug Williams.
And, of course, you have William Regal and Big Daddy.
Yeah.
And Dave Taylor. When they were in WWE together. Yeah, so I'll always remember that Fatal 4-Way tag team match.
Doesn't get mentioned enough, though, Dave Taylor, actually.
And Paul Burchill, the pirate Paul Burchill.
He arrived.
He's a fireman now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's a fireman in America. He's sorted himself out, has got a good job, and he's a very happy fireman. There you go.
I was a massive fan of the pirate gimmick. I had the toy and everything, but alas, it didn't last very long.
Poor, because he nearly got saddled with the incest gimmick, didn't they? Oh, Jesus. It was just the Attitude Era wasn't always great.
Well, they tried Beaver Cleavage, didn't they?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Yeah, but Vince pushed for a whole incest angle with Stephanie as well. So
go. I don't know.
Weird.
WWE.
Okay, what's the weirdest storyline you've been involved in Brit Wres so far?
Oh, weirdest storyline. Let me try and think.
It doesn't involve an inflatable flamingo.
I was going to say, it probably involves a flamingo.
I mentioned it earlier, but I said that my second flamingo died at the hands of Xander, biting its head off. So I'd sort of said to Xander, we were in a battle royal, and I said to Xander, after you eliminate me, and then he gets eliminated straight after, I said, this flamingo's on its way out. I said, do an Ozzy Osbourne and rip its head off. And he did, and like the kids in the crowd started screaming and everything, and I overreacted. And I went to the guy at the time who was running things, and I said, please give me one chance to show you that you can trust me, and just let me have a funeral for this flamingo for the next show. And he was really apprehensive, and I said, honestly, just let me do this. And I said, if it doesn't go well, then never give me a microphone again, and never let me pitch you any ideas. And I think this is at a point where I think for whatever reason, Ben, he wanted to work us separately, and Ben was doing a couple of singles matches. So I said, just let me do this. So the show came around. I'd made some pamphlets. I've still got one upstairs, actually. So I made like the funeral pamphlets and everything. And I sprang it on Gene Rick. I don't know if you guys would have heard of him. He does the clown gimmick over at SOS. And at the time, he was sort of like the general manager. And I said to him, I don't need you to say anything, Gene, but when I start crying, can you console me? And he was like, yeah. We had the whole roster around the outside. I'd got party rings, like ring-shaped food, so hula hoops, party rings, little subtle joke on my end, pineapple rings. And they had the whole roster around the ring. And I said to him, just console me. You don't need to say anything. And when he started consoling me, I said, I've got a poem to read, but I can't do it, Gene. Can you do it? And it was just the most ridiculous bit of writing. But I knew that if I got him to do it, he'd break. So I made him read this just disastrous poem out where he was like in fits of laughter, and I just kept a stone face the entire time, like got really offended that he was laughing. And I think that was probably, and I got trusted with doing stuff like that. So I guess it went well.
That's really good.
There you go. One of the weirdest storylines it would have, you know what, that would have fit in just perfectly in the Attitude Era, I think.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, we talked about Jurassic Pro Wrestling coming up on the 10th. You got the 8/7, but you guys are also in action on the 14th of April, and that's going to be for DNA Pro Wrestling for the Everybody Get Up, It's Time to Space Jam show. And what type of matchup is it again?
I think it might be the 16th.
The 16th.
Might be the 16th.
You might be right. Sometimes I don't always get it right.
I thought it was
That's
off the Thursday show.
Yes, it's the 16th. It is.
Cool. It's just so that I know if I shoot anything for it, then I've got the right day. Yes. So DNA, it's a beach party deathmatch, but the beach party part I'm looking forward to. Yes. Yeah, it's something that I've imagined in my head for so long. You know, with the flamingo, with the fact that me and Ben wear the Hawaiians, we've always kind of said we wanted some kind of beach themed crazy match, and I guess that's what we're going to get.
Ooh. Can we suggest some weapons for you?
You can. I'll add it to the shopping list.
Puffer fish. Nice and spiky.
I like that.
I think that's definitely got potential.
You've got to have a flip-flop.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And a frisbee.
I'll give you frisbee's a good one. I had a tooth knocked out by a frisbee when I was a kid, so that might bring me back some bad memories. I'll give you a little exclusive. I'm not going to tell you the whole plan. There's something that I'm going to do that incorporates ice cream cones, but that's as far as I'm going to say.
And of course, you are up against the king of comedy strong style, Tim Lee and Kobre. Tim Lee's a bit of a legend.
Interesting story about Tim Lee. I love my interesting stories. I went to a DOA show in Ipswich 2017. So that was the year before I started. And I'd heard of Tim in the past, but he wrestled on that show, which was the show where I decided that was where I wanted to become a wrestler. So now life goes full circle, and I finally actually get to wrestle Tim, which is a nice little touch. Yeah. So just a shame that he beat Ben up at the last show. That kind of soured things a bit. And Kobre is somebody who I'm quite familiar with. Maybe he looks like a guy who has a name of a chocolate bar that I used to know.
The wrestles under.
Well, it's a Nestle brand. I'll give you that. No, yes. There was a gentleman who looks very much like him called Kit Kat who used to wrestle on the DNA shows. I feel like they may be related in some way.
Quite possibly. There's some big matchups on this card. Tate Mayfair's versus RKJ. That's an interesting matchup.
Tate hasn't been at DNA since the lockdowns happened either, and he's doing very, very well for himself.
Mm-hmm. He's been everywhere else.
Yeah, he has. He showed up on NXT UK last week, didn't he?
He did.
And won.
And got a win. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Spoilers. I think I saw on Twitter, to be honest. Something to do with Sam Gradwell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ricky Knight Jr. as well. Like I've become quite a fan of Rev Pro, and he's been doing amazing work there. So that will be a very, 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 very good match.
We had a discussion recently where it came up who was the hardest hitter, and RKJ came quite high in that conversation. Yeah,
I'm friends with the East Anglian Killers from School of Slam, Essex Way, and they can attest to that as well. I message Liam all the time, and he told me.
He's got a huge matchup coming soon against Matt Cardona, NWA champions, former Zack Ryder, coming over to the UK to face Ricky Knight Jr. That should be excellent. But yeah, the young man, he's been killing it for such a young man.
Yeah, he's like he came. I think he came into Rev Pro during the lockdown, didn't he?
Yeah,
I hadn't really seen him. I knew of Ricky Knight Jr. obviously before that, but it was his work in Rev Pro that really like made me realise, oh God, those nights, they keep churning them out.
And they know what they're doing.
You've got Corey McRae versus Paul Robinson. That should be a absolute blinder of a match. I'm sure these two are going to beat the absolute living tar out of each other.
I don't know really what to say about it. Like Paul Robinson, since he's been back, has just, I don't know, he's on another level, and I'm just really excited to see those two batter each other.
The crowd response to Paul Robinson has been really good since his return. Everywhere I've seen him go, he seems to be having a lot of fun with it. Obviously he did have his issues, and it almost looked like, but he seems to be happy with wrestling, and that's great to see. And that's what wrestling should be about. There are more fantastic matches. You've got CJ Carter, Forrest Hayes, of course, two of your guys for Jurassic Pro. BDSM versus The Rebellion, quite possibly one of the most underrated tag teams in the Southeast. And if you don't believe us, just ask Jesse.
Yeah, the Princes of the South.
Yes.
And me and Ben are the Jesters of the East, as we are coining ourselves now.
We shall push that.
It's going to be, you guys are going to have a long rivalry ahead of you, I believe.
Yeah, we've crossed paths a few times. Triumph was the first time, one of their shows before lockdowns. We've had a match at SOS Wrestling. We were supposed to wrestle for the World War Wrestling Tag Team Championships, but again, that was that weekend where Ben unfortunately got COVID. And I wouldn't be wrong in saying that I imagine there's going to be plenty of times to come where we will wrestle the Rebellion, and I would very much welcome it, because it's always an absolute pleasure to get beat up by those two.
I guess the same could be said about the BDSM. There's been a budding rivalry that you've been cultivating as well.
Yeah, again, it just seems like COVID has prevented us from having these matches with tag teams that we enjoy working with, because, again, Rebellion, me and Ben were supposed to work, but Ben got COVID. And the last DNA show, me and Ben were supposed to defend the tag belts against BDSM, and I got COVID. But we managed. Oh, and obviously we wrestled Rebellion and BDSM at the same time at DNA's return show. And then Big Dangerous Scary Mammals again, we wrestled at Jurassic Pro, the second show. So both of those teams are ones who I would happily wrestle every weekend. Yeah, the Clementine is scary.
Simple. I like that. It's just going to be a soundbite. We're just going to have that little clip. Clementine is scary, and just that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, the biggest, most dangerous, most scariest mammal of all of them is Clementine.
We will attest to that, I think. Yes.
All right. So I've got another question for you, one that I occasionally bring out for people. You have wrestled all over the Southeast. What's the worst ring you've had to wrestle in so far?
Worst ring? I'm trying to. It's. Did I wrestle once? I can't say it was on the ring. It was more the fact that the ceiling was low, and I've never wrestled in a ring with the low setting before, and obviously there's less give. So I won't blame it on the ring, because the person whose ring it was is somebody who I like very, very much. But the lower setting was something I wasn't ready for, and it just takes away a bit of that security blanket you get. And I hadn't tried it out before, and it did wind me. but I can't say that there's. I tend to wrestle in the same rings quite a lot of the time. The SOS rings, yeah. WAW ring's lovely. Brett's ring is fantastic.
It's not quite the dark days of when we first, because when you first asked that question, it was to couple of veterans out there who would have had the traveling shows where the particularly rings aren't great, but nowadays most of the rings are pretty good.
That UBW ring as well, it's massive, but that's a great ring. But yeah, I think it's just when you get the ring on the lower setting. I mean, and PEW for their first show had this because the ceiling was quite low, but you just get a bit of that absorbency taken away.
I saw a match recently where someone had set the ring low, and I did have to laugh because I've got a feeling something wasn't quite the way it was planned, because someone ran the ring apron to give a kick to the person on the outside, which would normally have been to the jaw, and was pretty much the stomach.
That's a good way to win someone, actually. Maybe they did that intentionally. I can tell you my worst injury I've had.
What's your worst injury?
Well, I guess there's two incidents that always pop to mind. I'm very thankful that I haven't been injured like proper, but there was one time where I was wrestling just at I guess it was a show where I'd gone to train beforehand, and if you train, you get picked for matches. So it was kind of one of those shows where it's trainee. So this was 2019. And I was tagging up with Aaron Warnes, and we performed a 3D, and I did the cutter portion, but the person who took the move landed on all fours, and their elbow went straight into the top of my head and just popped my head open, and I was gushing blood. Didn't realise how bad it was, and I obviously went to A&E, had to get my head stitched up, but I had a trainee nurse stitch my head up, and they didn't numb my head properly. So I just felt all of the stitches being done. And they didn't tell me until after that they were a trainee, and I should have said something if it hurt. But I just bit my t-shirt and was just like, just get it done.
Wrestler, it's,
Yeah. But I have this, luckily my hair's grown back now. Male pattern baldness grows in the family, so I didn't think the patch was going to grow back. And the second one was I took a buckle bomb. And the video of this is quite famous around people that come and ask me. I got buckle bombed, but the guy stood too close to the corner and basically just threw me out of the ring. And I almost smashed my head on the ring post and nearly collided with the barricade, which was a lovely, lovely little one to experience.
Yes, that explains the Twitter profile bio that reads vegan hunk, full-time daddy, Technicolor dreamboat, and not a huge fan of buckle bombs.
Yeah, that started it. It took me a long time to agree to let anybody buckle bomb me, but I think the brothers Zor were the ones who talked me into it.
Oh, they're awesome.
But it was in a ladder match, and we hadn't tested this ladder, and it turned out that it was one that was previously broken, but it was fiberglass. So it just sort of bent. They buckle bombed me onto this ladder. I just went right through it. And then I just stood up and got the other brother buckle bombed into me. So me and buckle bombs don't get on.
We were chatting with UKPW owner, and he was mentioning that one of the things that really cost him was he put on a ladder match and he bought a good ladder. And he said the amount the good ladder cost, he could have booked another couple of wrestlers.
Yes. So that's I think that's the issue is you see some like places where I've experienced before, they Triumph had like quite a few ladders when they did theirs, but sometimes you'll see ladder match advertised and it's sometimes just one ladder, and you think if something goes wrong with that one ladder, what are you going to do? And like ours, we when we were planning this four-way tag, we just saw this ladder laying down near the bins, and I guess I don't know why we didn't think maybe it's broken, but we were just like, we've only got one ladder, let's grab this one. And it turned out that it had already previously buckled on a previous show. But ladders are very costly.
So is there any other bits that we need to talk about today? Any other matches coming up that we haven't mentioned yet?
I think at the moment, it's Jurassic and DNA, and then I think I've got a couple of weeks off, which I'm probably looking forward to. Do some stuff. I've got a family holiday at the end of the month, so I'm buzzing for that.
And of course, editing the Jurassic Pro show.
Yes, that usually gets done 2 days, 3 days after. I'm quite quick. It's just my putting out of media, which is the issue. But whenever I have a show, I usually edit it within 2 days because I'm usually excited to see my matches back.
Good reason.
But yeah, that's the thing. Especially if I'm on like the last show we did. I was on with RJ and Jordan last, so I think I blitzed that show in like 6 hours because I wanted to get to my match.
Who is the one international talent that you would love to get on Jurassic Pro Wrestling?
Deuce and Domino. Best tag team in the world. if I'm being serious. Who am I really like? You know what? Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh, God, I'm going to have it stuck in my head again.
You know what? Bailey versus McRae.
It's happened once, and it was really good. I was there for it. I can't remember.
I want to find that match. Where's that match?
I can send it to you. Corey might have it on his YouTube, but it was supposed to happen a couple of times after, but the stars never aligned. But they had a match, and it was probably the one that made people realise that Corey's really, really good. But I saw Speedball last year, I think, at Rev Pro. I hadn't seen him in ages. Yeah, which one were you at? I was at Huntingdon, I think. So that was I think he wrestled Connor Mills that night.
Oh yeah, so that was on his way because he had just won which you were at there, and the Super Juniors. Is that what they call it?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got the Rev Pro Tag League. Have you sent your application for it?
I should, shouldn't I?
It's just been announced, the Rev Pro UK Tag League, hasn't it? So,
I did see it, and I thought, because that's the thing. Like, sorry, I do waffle a lot, but like, I think that's the thing that me and Ben do pride ourselves on is like that we have been a tag team like the entire time that we've worked together. It's not like we work together when it suits us. It's we only work shows together. Like, and I think that's something that sometimes is missed places. So we kind of want that to be our USP, is the fact that we are a tag team through and through.
We have got some great tag teams in the UK and a long history of great tag teams actually in the UK. So it's I think you're doing it proud.
Thanks. We're just trying to do our little fun spin on things, have a party every time we go out there, you know.
Very entertaining match. The RCWA match against Everly United. If people haven't seen it, you should go out of your way to watch it on Powered 4 TV. It was the main event, and it was very, very entertaining. Very, very, and I can say that because I'm somebody who doesn't always go for that type, but it was actually a lot of very cleverly worked spots that I thought, I thought it was just a fun match.
Well, Harry Payne wasn't very clever for trying to headbutt me with his t-shirt over his head.
No, that was one of the best.
And if you want to see what happens when that headbutt occurs, you can see it for free on Powered 4 TV. All you have to do is go on to Powered 4 TV, sign up using our code TPOD, that's TEAPOD, and you can get 30 days for free. Sorry, I've got to throw that in there.
Indeed, and you'll get to see Alex Ecco on Triumph Pro Wrestling, RCWA, Jurassic Pro Wrestling, and DNA Pro Wrestling. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, go out and watch him, and don't feed the trolls.